Welcome to motherfucking Country Cousins. We got a packed house today. It's your boy D-Rag Dub.
It's your guy, Pretty Flacco.
She got Diddy 314.
AKA
The Juggernaut, bitch.
Okay.
We are joined by Tia and Tamara Mowry.
Right.
6 foot back. Period. As much as I try to keep a straight face, when he announces himself, boy, I'll holler. Mm-hmm. The jugger, bitch.
I'm just playing. We got our favorite ladies. 6 foot Bay on the left. We got Bria J on the right. How y'all doing?
Man, we hanging in there. We good. We good.
I'm gonna ask a question, but I'm gonna introduce my guy, the young FCC.
What's up? What's up? You know, I don't want to keep this shit together. What's happening?
All right. First
Young
question.
OG.
First question. 6 foot.
Mm-hmm.
You know this question.
She ain't yet.
I'm still holding out, and I'm still a virgin, nigga. Still a virgin.
Hey, can we do an over/under on who gets dick first? You or B. Simone?
And here's the deal. When Corona happened, that set me back. You know what I'm saying? When Corona happened, it really set me back because my boo can't find me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm in a house. I don't have no business for real. But I had a couple pop-ups. I'm still a virgin though. I couldn't do nothing with it.
Scary.
She saying I'm scary.
Scary.
Money.
Yeah.
Why can't they find you? You don't got no Tinder. You ain't got no black people meet.
Not the Tinder though.
You know them apps ain't even work. Boy, I gotta say this good so long. I can't give it to nobody in Tinder. I need to make sure it's a good contender.
You don't even know if it's good anymore. That shit
You
could be
might have
dry
that.
right now.
Yeah,
You might have that.
because you're right. Whatever I get gonna be the bomb to me.
Right.
You might have that Candace Owens stanky pussy, according to Dave Chappelle.
You a lie. Now you a damn lie. Now that's where you're wrong and absolutely wrong.
Hey, you gotta run the water through your pipes every now and then to make sure that shit ain't corroded.
Now you know I ain't. You know I done ran some water through these pipes. Now mind your business. She gonna roll her eyes. I don't give a fuck. She can't get away for it. Period.
Because if I could, I would have been gave it away.
It's water soluble. That's what she said.
Speaking
and
of
you better know I got toys and I know what to do with.
What did I just miss going on here?
Oh, you don't know that she ain't got laid since fucking Trump got in office?
No, I know about 6 foot over there. I'm talking about the other situation.
Oh, what?
What I just missed? If she could, she would.
If I could give it away for her.
She would give it my pussy away for
okay.
me.
All right. Okay. All
Hey.
right. My bad.
Yeah.
Bria J, $40 is $40.
Hey,
You a damn lie.
I know that stimulus
$40
ran out.
holler.
Right. That even during times of inflation, $40 is $40.
$40. Shut your ass.
Ain't no Rona discount.
$32.50.
Be like those old infomercials.
Prices go up during the Rona.
But
Price
wait,
goes up during the Rona. It goes up during the Rona.
what if he came through with a roll of toilet paper?
Inflation. Or some hand sanitizer. Some Lysol wipes or something like that.
Some of them Clorox bleach strips.
Yeah.
You really getting
Paper
towel.
towel. Paper towel or something.
All right. Let's get to it. I really want to talk about serious topics today of what the fuck is going on. When did white people discover that they were racist? Like last week? Like all of a sudden this is a new topic. All of our jobs are sending out fake emails about how they love black people. But what do you really think is going to change? I'm going to throw this to ladies first.
Did he?
You gotta go first.
I was trying to be cavalier.
I think we a long way from our change. I think we got a long way to go because it took us a while to get where we at right now. We got a minute.
Do we need to fuck more shit up?
I don't don't think we need to fuck shit up, and I say that because I feel like that's who they think we already are. And so I don't think that we need to do that. I think we need to find ways to fight. And when I say fight, I mean by more education, being educated and being in power positions so that we can fight for real, for real. I think, going out here being a headbanger, that's one thing, but what that gets you?
Headbanger got attention. Now we need somebody to come through and clean up.
Period. That's where we at.
What you got? Go ahead.
I don't think change is that far away. Simply because now they're starting to admit the wrongs that was done to Black people. You know what I mean? Because what made us so unique here is we were slaves on American soil. And they never, admitted to their sins. So therefore, now they're trying to admit to their sins. And now what I've seen with all these marches, it's really like a fucking 50-50 split, or 60, well, like realistically 60-40 split between Black people and other, ethnicities and things of that.
I agree.
So I think it's gonna be sooner rather than later, because now they sort of take down these fucking monuments. The Marine Corps banned the fucking Confederate flag. NASCAR banned the Confederate flag. The University of Minnesota has, canceled all contracts with MPD. So that's a multi-million-dollar move right there. So once you start hitting them in their pockets, or as my grandma will say, they pocketbooks, they're gonna start listening.
So you definitely finna get some change coming up here because the floodgates open. Now that they didn't start seeing, like Flacco just mentioned, the statues coming down, you got these big corporations like Nike saying, shit, we love Black people. Black people made us who we are. So, they was some of the first to admit that, or come out in public and be like, we gonna give Juneteenth as an actual company-wide holiday. We ain't gonna do no funny shit or take this certain kind of time. No, it's a holiday for everybody. So when them floodgates open, that's how it's gonna be.
And just
I think we got a ways to go though. I think the time that we want change immediately, but I think change always is gonna take time. And
I'm sorry, you're right. It'll take a little time to be done the correct way. Everything right now is knee-jerk reaction, right? All these companies like Nike, like FCC said, even on a gaming level, right? Fucking Call of Duty put out Black Lives Matter. As soon as you logged into the game, you couldn't even play the game without saying that shit.
That was every PlayStation game. Every PlayStation-based game.
All they conferences too to announce new games. They paused all of them, moved all of them to recognize, and they all use the same tagline. There's different people speaking right now. That's more important. More important voices right now.
I got you. I agree. I think that. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna go to what is the biggest knee-jerk reaction that you would like to see. I mean, of course, student loan forgiveness would be huge. Some kind of stimulus economic package geared just towards Black Americans would be like the biggest thank you moment that I could see.
So you're looking for a reparation?
I'm looking for something. 40 acres and a Cadillac, 20 acres and a Camaro, some shit.
And a Rolls Royce truck.
You're real petty too.
Right. So student loan forgiveness and zero interest loans on homes.
Because they have denied us the right to have those loans over time. I don't know if you guys remember our article. I don't know if it was US Bank or Bank of America, but one of them, they went back and they audited because they were denying Black people loans that they really had qualified for. And
Bank of America.
Bank of America. And so I had read an article about it, and I mean, truly, people of color have been treated like that, not just by U.S. Bank or Bank of America, whatever. They've been treated like that in so many other instances too. You know what I mean?
Well, the biggest
Right.
thing with home ownership is that white people, when they came back from World War II and things like that, they were able to buy houses in neighborhoods that gained income. They gained that appreciated. Black
Yeah.
people weren't allowed to buy houses in those neighborhoods, so we never were able to close that economic gap.
That's what
Right.
Well, we still have
gentrification
it
is all
today,
about.
though, Derek. If you not, I'm sorry.
I'm
Go
with
ahead.
you. I get you. I'm just saying, like, it started even, 2 generations ago with
Right.
with home ownership.
And just okay. So, for example, we live in that right now, Derek. We live in the area right now where they pushing Black people to. Most of us live in North County or somewhere near that area. And for example, when I was house shopping, the houses out in Pattonville School District, Parkway School District, I was getting a small house for a lot of money.
Right.
So I think it's a way to keep us in our same area together. I don't like that because
Well,
our kids should be able to go to those schools.
that's where it started, though. When Parkway and fucking Chesterfield didn't exist 60 years ago for real. That shit boomed in the 60s, 70s, 80s with white sprawl, right? So when those people moved from these houses that we in, they bought these houses for 10 grand, 50 years ago. Get your ugly ass finger out the way. They bought them for 10 and sold them for 100. So all the equity is gone when we buy them. So that's what I'm saying. Those white people,
I see what you're saying.
that class was able to take 90 grand, go buy a house for 200, put 30 down, and now they got 60 grand to fuck off and get to their kids or whatever. They
They're
were
doing
able
the
to
same
pass
thing
down
now
well.
with gentrification. That's all it is. All the inner city shit that's going for super cheap that we don't want to buy, they just buying it up and holding it until we decide to move out or we get pushed out, and they get all that land for super cheap. Like if you look at all them houses right now, you could take $50,000 and go buy damn near half a block in Detroit because that's how cheap those houses are. And that's what the Chinese have done. The Chinese have invested so much money in Detroit that in 20 years, you're not going to even recognize Detroit because everybody's going to either been and moved somewhere else or then got pushed out. And then they're going to come in, build it up. And then now you're going to need, $500,750,000 just to buy an apartment in downtown Detroit.
That's Oakland. Remember, Oakland used to be
They doing it
basically
too.
St. Louis. But what happened? Oakland, everybody couldn't live in San Francisco or San Jose. So they was like, well, fuck it. We'll buy shit in Oakland and Richmond. Shit that used to go for 200,000, now it's going for 6.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
houses ain't getting bigger. Blocks not getting bigger. It's just that they pulling that income out. It's important that y'all brought that up because I was looking at companies that basically owe Black people, companies that have been around for at least over 100 years. So the list for me that stands out is J.P. Morgan Chase, valued at 113 billion. They've been around since 1799.
Wow.
Citigroup, 88 billion, 1812. Wells Fargo, 1852, 100 billion. New York Life, 42 billion. Massachusetts Mutual Life, American Express, Prudential, Goldman Sachs. All of these are over $40 billion companies. Berkshire Hathaway, 242 billion. Even Bank of America has been around since 1904. So like you said, the wealth of this company was built away from Black people back then.
It was built on discrimination.
Basically.
And Dub, you sent out something that was really intriguing to me about the loop, about Delmar, right?
Oh, the Delmar Divide.
The Delmar Divide. So one half of it, which is 99% Black, right? The house market.
The north side of it.
Okay, north side. The house market was what? 80-some thousand?
The north side of Delmar, in between Kings Highway and Taylor, the home values are 78,000. The household income is 22,000.
Wow.
The south side of Delmar, immediately across the street, basically the same size houses, maybe a little big. They kind of gentrified that area now. But the home values are 310,000. and the household income ain't even that much higher. It's only 47,000.
47,000.
But they bought those houses in the 70s, and they've sat on them, and they were big houses back then. The problem is they were able to flip them because it's closer to SLU, it's closer to BJC, and they got a different zip code.
Yeah, you're right.
And so how does that impact us to this day, right? Generational wealth.
They got 3 times more income per house.
Right. So that created generational wealth. Like you said, they could have sold it and flipped that and bought another house in a different part of town and still had, access of 50 grand or more to do whatever they want to do with it, to invest it,
to send their kids to college where they don't pay student loans and we do.
Right. So, I mean, to say that this country owes us is an understatement. But how do you guys like to be categorized? Is it African American or just black?
I've always been the I'm black or whatever else. I don't really like the African American term myself. Yes, we are descendants of or whatever else, but unfortunately, all of our history or whatever else was established here.
Or stripped from us.
Yeah, we don't really have any connection with our African ancestry. So it kind of feels funny to be called an African American. Like your people in the Caribbean, they maintain a lot of their heritage and a lot of, the culture that came along with, the tribes that they originally came from. We the lost tribe, essentially. So, I kind of feel like I'm a Black American or whatever else.
Right.
But I know, your real super woke individuals feel like, well, black is a color, Well, I mean, that's true, but I don't know.
So, and that's the thing. Everyone that immigrated over here, they have a culture, they have a history, right?
Well, you used the right word, immigrated. They weren't sold.
Taken, right.
Right. So therefore they have a culture, they have things to be proud of. If we go back in our heritage, it's gonna lead to one place if we keep the term African American. They're gonna say we all came off boats, right? Which subconsciously it devalues us as a people.
Well, yeah, because Africa is a continent. It's not a country. It's a damn continent with how many different countries inside of it. So it's
Right.
like shit. Technically, everybody on this call could be,
from somewhere,
yeah, American, Nigerian American, Lagos American. So yeah, it's a generalized bucket. That's another reason why I have a problem with it. Is like, yeah, my ancestors come from the continent of Africa, but where in Africa do my ancestors come from?
Right.
I just know West Africa.
White people get to say they're Italian or they're French or they're Canadian. We just get to say we black. Right. I know Diddy gonna say I identify as black. He think I'm the darkest nigga since Wesley Snipes.
Yeah.
You and Wesley like that, Derek, for real.
Say what?
Michael Black
is doing that to you.
Derek.
I don't care. Wait, is colorism now in play? Like, should we kind of get rid of our own self-hate as black people?
We have to if we're gonna unify.
Ja Rule said we should.
Well, we didn't call the ass what Ja Rule thought.
Right. I mean, but I think colorism, it depends on how it's used. You know what I mean? A lot of people try to use it as a negative deterrent. You know what I mean? But
how can it be positive?
I'm just saying, like, yes, I'm black, or what I like to say, I'm mocha. You know what I mean?
You didn't answer my question. How can colorism be positive?
No, okay, it's not positive because that goes back to slavery times also. You know what I mean? The fair-skinned slaves, they had you in the house and things of that nature. So if me and you were slaves, you'd be in the fields.
Thanks.
I mean, really, a lot of the colorism started from us trying to find a hierarchy within ourselves because we were shit on for so long. So like he was saying, like the light-skinned cats was inside, the darker ones was outside. But like, I would definitely agree we need to get rid of it now. At this point, if we kind of getting rid of everything else, let's get rid of that.
What's that movie with the what's the movie? The
Moonlight.
colorism movie. Not Moonlight. Hell no.
I've never seen that movie, by the way.
Hotel.
Hotel
Hotel
Rwanda.
Rwanda.
Right. So for real, it yeah, we can say when we was in Master's house or whatever, but like Dub said, that's a hierarchy. That was something that we did to ourselves, and it continued on.
Yeah.
Because they felt like they was better. I can't remember. It was like I can't remember. I had seen this so long ago. But the dark skinned people felt, inferior to the light skinned people or whatever the case was. The tootsies and
I don't like that. Because I don't want to be one of the girls in the house, baby. I want to be a black girl. I want to be a brown girl.
melanin popping.
Melanin popping there.
Period.
I don't like
Because
that.
NASA
old
ain't touched my
light-skinned
mama.
red
Period.
I'm a black girl. That matters. But can I ask you, Patrick, a kind of personal question? And then if you don't want to answer, it's okay. But how would you handle your biracial children conversation about what's going on as they get older? Because you have boys. I just kind of want to know what your conversation would be with them, what that kind of looks like on the other side of their family. And
Well, it's funny you say that because I've already had conversations with Jackson, and Dub was telling me not to hit him with too much because he's 7. But the conversations I've had with him are just basically you judge everybody off their character, no matter what color it is. You judge them off the character, and just because someone might have a position of power doesn't mean that they have a strong character. I've met good and bad people of all colors, all whatever. So that's the only thing you can do. But I also cautioned him, he's 7 going on 8. In 4 years, he's going to be considered.
He's not going on 6.
What's up?
He's not going on 6, bro.
What? 7 going on 8. And in 4 years, he's going to be considered, a suspect. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of them things. Like if he could be a little mixed kid now, but it doesn't matter to a police officer. That's a light skinned black dude. Get on the ground.
Yeah. Right.
So
and I know you had the conversation with him, right? But I think our job, one of our number one jobs as parents, is to keep their innocence, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
As long as possible.
As long as possible. So
yeah, I agree with that to a
You see Baby Flacco. Degree. Baby Flacco and Jax are like the same skin tone. So, my whole thing is to keep that innocence. Because right now, little Flacco best friend at his school is a little white kid. You know what I mean? I met his parents and things of that nature. So my child, our kids don't see color. They see, oh, that's my friend. That's all they see. They see love. If we could maintain that as long as possible, we're doing right by our children.
So the question is to that, not to cut you off, but that's a good point because we struggle with this now with my 2 kids, and obviously they have grown up around white kids their entire time. They've been going to school, daycare, and everything else. My son, his little best friend, he's a white kid or whatever. So the question in that is, when do you decide to introduce them to the reality of, it's cool for you to have your friends. It's cool for you to, judge people by their character. But what's going to happen, or how do you prepare them for that day where they're going to come home and not understand why this person just called me this name? And, what does this name mean? Why does it feel like it hurts? And I don't even know what it is.
You gotta tell them early. That's why I think.
But how do you introduce that? So this is my problem with it, right? So my wife, my old lady, she's pretty militant. So her idea is sit you down now and let you know how the fuck it is type of deal. But my thing is, how is that being processed when my best friend or over 50% of the kids I play with, or these people who you telling me are white? It don't process. It don't hit the same. It's gonna hit when you actually encounter that situation.
Experience, yeah.
Right. So FCC, I think you answered your own question, because with some of the things you just said, like, I don't think you should introduce them to it until it hits them, until it gets to that point. You know what I mean?
That's my point. My thing is, okay, we're going to teach you about your history, give you some information or whatever else, but we're not going to really get heavy into this until you actually experience it. And I know that what I'm saying to you is going to really, grab onto you, really going to take a hold. Because I could talk at you now about
I make
how these people in these robes, you know, did us, but what that's gonna really mean to you when you go play with this little white kid down the street.
Go ahead,
I
sis.
think you guys have valid points, but I may go against the grain just a little bit and say that it's really hard to protect your kids' innocence at this point in life because the internet and so many things that they're exposed to at this point, they already seeing. And when you think they don't know and they not listening, they listen.
They already do. Yep.
They paying attention. And so it's almost like, do you want to put it in perspective for them so that the news don't get them, YouTube don't get them, and what somebody else said get them? Or do you think that you just kind of keep that innocence? It's a really tough call, I would say, and it's probably based on the child's maturity.
I say you keep an innocence until middle school, all breaks are off, because that's when they change it anyway. Do I have the oldest kid here?
But some kids are more mature at an earlier age, so I can't just give a middle school as a drop point.
But
6 foot has the oldest kid.
I do.
I do.
Oh no. Well,
no, bro, you have a full grown adult.
right.
Facts.
She fucking.
Who?
Okay, we didn't need that.
Right.
Hey, funky.
Diddy got an 18-year-old.
No, Patrick.
Yeah.
Alex, you don't have no grown kid. Patrick, right?
Yeah.
Diddy.
Alex might.
Jeremy.
Diddy.
Alex might, but
Nobody
you
doing
know,
Flacco, you got a baby that's
Flacco?
grown.
Right.
What?
Hey,
Flacco got a baby that's grown too.
No.
I could.
no, I mean he might have natchez. Who knows? You know, things go down.
You don't understand.
Hey,
My only point to that with middle school is like
Everything changed.
they're losing their innocence in middle school anyway.
Yeah.
They're finding themselves.
Kind of a breaking
They're
point.
doing a lot more stuff that they're figuring things out on their own anyway. So it's like with my son, I'm just always throwing little stuff at him. Like, hey, has this ever happened to you? Like, I'm trying to get a gauge of, has he even experienced racism, or do he even know if he's experienced?
Right. That's the thing, right? Have you ever do you know that this is what you've experienced? So I tried an experiment. I gave my 12-year-old daughter the autobiography of Malcolm X. And I'm like, you come to something in this book that you don't understand, come talk to me about it. We're going to discuss it. And, you know, she didn't came and like asked me a couple of little like small light things or whatever else, but it's kind of weird seeing her read and go through this book because I can see the wheels turning. The questions haven't started yet, but I can see the wheels turning because, again, here you have a girl who has most of the basketball team white, most of the softball team white. So she's around, most of the friends are white. So it's like, okay, are you finna start looking at them funny? Or are you really getting at what's in this book or not? So,
But bro, that's a girl.
I also
Boys
have a
ain't
comment
reading
to that because
shit.
you said that a few times about the school or whatever. I just want to know, when are we going to take back our schools? When are we going to start being in those power positions where we can give our kids the education that we need and stop being dependent upon the white people and living in the white areas to do that? When can we boss up our community and start taking control of some of that? Because I think we do have the power there if we use it right.
yeah, I mean, you gotta, that's all about education at home, right? Because like I told my daughter at the beginning when she started 7th grade, I'm like, okay, you old enough now for me to tell you the truth. School, only 30% of what you learning or what you even dealing with in school is something that's going to be useful to you. You've already been through most of what's going to be useful. That's learning how to read, write, do math, understand what a dictionary is, understand how to do research. The rest of this stuff that you're learning now is a checkbox that you just have to do. So it's like, I mean, that portion has to come from at home. You got to say, okay, let me teach you about this or whatever else. You know, once a week they call it whatever day, Black History Facts or whatever else, where everybody in the house is supposed to go find something out about somebody Black and come back and tell everybody else about it. And that's how we try to ingrain in them, like, this is what your people do. This is how great your people are. This is how great you are or whatever else. So it's just, we gotta do that, you know, at home, because if we want to live in great neighborhoods, unfortunately right now, that requires us to be in school districts that are primarily white, unless you live in a predominantly Black city like in Atlanta or a Texas somewhere in California somewhere.
Because they do have more diversity. But I do think that we look for those white schools. Like, for example, I was looking in those areas, wanting to buy a home in those areas for the school district, and you paying for the school. But are those teachers really about our kids? Do they really understand our children? And are they really looking at their best interests? Do they look at them like they look at the white kids? You know, it's a lot of questions there for me because
those schools are getting a grade off more than anything, just safety. Perceived safety, perceived value of education. It's just like a private school. You're not paying for the education, you're paying for the environment.
The environment, yeah.
So I think what takes it back to your initial question of why aren't our neighborhood schools valuable is because, like you said, our community is still at a point where we don't value ourselves. Like, it's not this isn't the norm of us being able to come together and have an intellectual conversation about topics. It's, it's the stereotypical shit. We're the protesters, they're the rioters, the looters. You know what I mean? Like, and that's just being general. I don't got nothing against nobody fucking shit up for change. But that's the problem. The true problem is we don't have leadership at our own levels.
Yeah, because to me, you don't have to force me out to a certain community if me and my community making sure our shit is on point. You know what I'm saying? And we
that was the big thing here. I know you're not from here, but that was the big thing with Sumner. Sumner was the oldest school west of the Mississippi.
Yep.
So for Sumner to almost close 15 times in the last 20 years because of enrollment is because we don't want to even have our own resources taken care of. It's the HBCU versus D1 argument that's coming up now with sports. If these kids stop putting all their value into white schools, then our schools can actually grow. Or if y'all watch All American, the TV show All American is hitting.
Yeah. I love that show.
And I went to public schools. I went to city schools through 8th grade. Public schools the whole time, but I went to black schools through 8th grade. I learned more at the black school than I did the white school. The only thing the white school taught me how to do was conform and write better.
Yeah, because there's some common sense things that you really got to learn that a black teacher could give you, or
I didn't have black teachers. I didn't have black teachers at my black school. I might only had 3 out of through 8th grade, 3 black, like homeroom teachers.
Gotcha. My daughter has a black principal for the first time, and she's a woman. She got dreads in her hair. I just think it's important for for them to see someone in a position of power that looks like them, that they, she steps in and she advocates on their behalf in ways that, for example, my daughter was having an issue with a teacher. She was a white teacher, and I was getting all on her and stuff. And then the principal, she came back and said, Nia, that teacher really has an issue sometimes. I have to remind her, you're not a black child's mother. And you sometimes need to pipe down. There's certain things that she says is inappropriate, And so I just think sometimes it's important for us to be in those school districts just to catch those little times where you do need to step in and say something because they don't know. They out of line,
Well, that brings us back to the original point of representation is important. Us being at those schools are helping those kids be diverse. Right. Us putting our own schools at the platform will eventually boost our neighborhoods, boost our own economies, right? But all these companies that are, putting out messages, they're not changing their representation. They're not changing anything. They're just trying to save their bottom lines. So representation is probably more the key than anything, right?
Right. So for me, speaking of representation, I'd never seen, you come from Mississippi, I'd never seen real black people in positions of power, right? My own family, for example, everyone was worker bee. They, go to college, get a good education, get a good job. No one said, hey, go to college and study to be an engineer or be a doctor, things of that nature. So I've never seen that. And being in the position that I'm in now, it's like foreign land to me. Like, I can't call my grandmother and say, hey, I need to talk to you about this. I can't call my pops, you know what I mean? when I have an issue at work, these three gentlemen right here, that's why I bring it to. You know what I mean? So
we start with MCC. He the smartest out the group.
And the
Y'all
oldest.
niggas got all the paper, all the degrees and everything
But-
else.
You got a compound. But yeah, like, you know, it starts with representation, but we need to come together as a group, right? A selective group that's on the up and up, and then, you know, reallocate those resources back to our community to help start pulling people up. Like, hey, you don't have to go down this path, because me coming up, we had 3 options: entertainment / sports, military, or the dope game. That was it. So,
Bria J,
now,
you from racist capital. Like, how does all this play to you? I don't want to cut you off, Flock, but like that just popped in my head. Like, being from Kentucky, like that's a different experience, right?
It's different. I'm just soaking it all in because I grew up in the suburbs. Like, my parents moved out of the hood, got their house built with the white people so we could go to school with the white kids. So my experience was, I was the token black girl. I'm the black girl that's like, oh, but you're not really black. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you the cool black girl, or you don't talk like you black, or you the Oreo black girl. But what happened was, you know, going through elementary, middle school, high school, and I'm around all these white kids, and I'm the token black girl. When I graduated school, I went to a HBCU, you know, and then that's when the education came in. That's when I had professors that looked like me. That's when it was girls that looked like me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can have nails like this and still be professional about your business, talk like a white girl, as they say, you know, whatever the case may be. I had a very different experience because, I mean, sometimes I feel like some of my friends' parents were racist growing up, but once they quickly figured out that I was black, those kids wouldn't be around anymore. But I was pretty much, so I was the likable black kid. Like, oh, Bria can come over, she cool. Or, you know, Bria's that one black, oh, I got a black friend, I ain't racist. You know, I was that girl. I wasn't the hood. You know what I'm saying? That was never me. But then it was like, once I got I needed that, though. I needed to be around my people, because after being the elephant in the room for so long, you know, you just want to be accepted. You want to be around like-minded individuals. You want to feel at home.
Did that ultimately, I forgot where I was going. Oh, the people that you grew up with, are you still friends with them? Like, because right now, all kind of associations are being tested, right? Like,
yeah,
black,
yeah.
white,
I
black,
can't
white,
say
white.
that I have any white friends from home that I keep in contact with.
When did that stop, though? When did that stop? Did that stop in college?
I want to say that stopped in college. Once I realized where the real, genuine love is, you know, like, well, I don't have to give you 25% of me just because I know you probably don't like the other 75%. That's when I stopped hanging around them people. You know, and then since all of this has happened, there's been a lot of people who I was still friends with on Facebook that I got to go and delete now. Because, you know, you out here saying, oh, you're the problem and you can't appreciate this, that, and the other. And, you know, then that's when they get to showing, oh, okay.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
Like, although, because we had to counsel our guy Diddy all the time, like calling people friends. Like, nah, bro, those are associates.
Right. They're not your friends.
And y'all grew up in similar neighborhoods or circumstances, basically, with the neighborhood. So, you know, that's what I was trying to figure out. But Kentucky, like, it's overt KKK country. Like, Missouri.
Oh, yeah, right outside the doorstep.
Here in Missouri, they at least wear police uniforms. So,
right. That's how.
Bria, let me ask you this: Bria, when you went to college, did anyone ever like not accept you or fuck with you because you grew up in a white area?
No, because it was other black kids. You know, it was like-minded. I wasn't the only black sheep anymore. It was other black girls that talked like they was white, or parents had a little bit of money and they lived in a decent neighborhood. You know, everybody wasn't from the hood. For real, a lot of people, when I went to school, the only people that was really from the hood was the athletes. You know, everybody else was just like me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
the misconception about HBCUs.
It was the people on scholarships mostly that was from the hood.
Yeah, the
Okay.
misconception about HBCUs is that everybody's hood. You go to a HBCU, most of the people are more middle class than
Right.
not.
Yeah, middle
Some
class.
Huxtable
Yeah.
type families or whatever.
Yeah.
Because those families understood or understand the value of that networking that you get by going to school and then checking that box and say, okay, well, I have this degree from such and such university. People in the hood don't understand that. They just look at it as, oh, fuck that school. You know, I ain't do high school, or I couldn't wait to get out of high school anyway. So yeah.
Right.
But you know what? Y'all explaining the situation that our kids are basically growing up in. Because
Exactly.
my son, his friendships are going like this. You know, he's soccer kids, so of course everybody on the soccer field white. This is the first year where he actually had another black kid on his soccer team, and he's been playing for 7, 8 years, right? So like, soccer's always been white. Then he goes to school. He's in the honor society, so he's in the smart classes. So he's got mostly white there, but then he's, I guess, me being in his ear is like, well, look, man, you kind of got to be an advocate for the black people too. Like,
Right.
he's on the little school board, so it's
Yeah.
like, you are the voice of black people at your school, so you need to not only get to know people you don't necessarily know, but you need to kind of understand where they're coming from when things happen. So it's a weird balance.
That's a lot of weight to put on a kid.
And I'm not trying to put it on him. I mean, a lot of stuff he signs up for, his mama signed him up for. But I'm just trying to help him navigate, because I was that kid too, except
Right.
I was just at a black school. So,
Yeah.
well, this has been, I think, a great conversation. I think we should wrap here. Anybody got any parting words about things going on? Again, immediate fixes, possible reconciliations that can happen right now?
Man, the protests needs to continue to happen, and riots need to continue to happen. It's all pressure. Let it all happen so that we can get results, because ultimately they need them results. Because I'm gonna tell you, one of the big things that people don't realize about even just the protest in itself, these police departments and city councils and cities, they don't have the money to continue to pay these police and these officers overtime. So they want this shit to be over as soon as possible. So that's why you see a lot of police chiefs and higher ups in the police departments around the country starting to side with the movement. Like, okay, yeah, them lives matter. Do something about that shit so I can get all these cops off of this overtime.
Let's go kneel with the people.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And seeing racist emails on the side, racist jokes on the side.
Hey, one quick comment to that. Pressure, right?
Right.
How much fucking up?
51
I don't think they know that if the Breonna Taylor people aren't arrested, if George Floyd 4 cops aren't convicted, if the Aubrey case isn't conviction, like if we don't see convictions and hard time, not 3-year type shit,
right,
I don't think they are prepared for the level.
This out though. Check this out. So, the Breonna Taylor stuff in Louisville, I got some people that work in the city council building, and they were told to go home immediately and not report back to work because the verdict is about to come out. So that pretty much means that they are not about to convict these cops, and the city of Louisville is about to go on a rampage. And they advise their workers to go home immediately and not report back to work until further notice. So I'm just waiting on the bomb to explode, because that's exactly what's about to happen. They're not about to evict them.
If they thought 92 in LA was bad when them cops got off for what they did to Rodney King, it's going to be 20 times as worse.
The only thing, and I can't say the only thing because it's a tragedy, it's terrible what happened to her. If they have some video somewhere of this happening, the body cam, if there is some kind of video.
The body cam footage is long gone.
But I mean, we computer dudes, you know how that shit could pop somewhere, right?
Yeah.
If that comes out after what Bree is saying, oh, it's gonna be hell to pay.
Oh yeah.
I hope it's hell to pay. Let me put it that way.
Doug, quick question. What do you consider hard time?
They got to do 10 years because they're not gonna make 10 years in the pen with all them brothers waiting on.
For real.
Long dick.
All right, that was your closing comment. Bree, you got anything for the people?
I don't got nothing. That's hard to follow up behind. So
Yeah, like you might as well drop the mic.
Yeah, you just cut my screen out, actually.
Yep, I'm done.
Well, country cousins, like, comment, subscribe. We out.
Who has live sports?
Follow us.
We
on,
need to stop that until they give us a check. They ain't paying for that airtime.
That's fair.